Had you full, didn't I? Right? So I got a little nifty 626 badge on this bad boy from an old route I used to have. But either way, what we're going to try to knock out today, the goal of today's video is to grease the rear bearings on the Mark III. I've owned this car 7-ish years, I think. I've been here 3-ish, 4.5, about 7 years, give or take. I've never touched the rear brakes on this. I have a Cabrio Mark 3.5 conversion, or Cabrio rear disc brake setup conversion that I'm planning on doing that sometime this fall, this winter, when it's not 100+ degrees. But today, hopefully, this back one, this passenger rear, seems to be having a whirling sound. And when I go over 45, only thing I can chalk it up to is the bearings needing greased up, right? So the fun part is the adjusters on the brake shoes on these, on the Mark IIIs, because this is a drum brake. So I'm going to see if I can even get the drum off. All right, we'll see how well that goes. But the bearings are part of the drum, right? So I'm going to take the wheel off. I got to chock block the front because it's going to be this way. Probably going to squish the front bumper by jacking it up too high. I don't know. But I'm only going to do this one side at one point. I don't have to pull up the whole front like I did on the whole rear like I did on the front. But jack this up, see if I can pull that drum off, grease the bearings, put it back together, call it a day. Take it for a ride. If I got to, then I'll do the driver's side. I probably should knock them both out at the same time, right? But I'm being lazy. It's the last day before I got to go back to work. It's hot. It rained all night, so it did cool down some, but now we got the humidity setting in. El Paso never has humidity, really. But I'm going to take advantage of this downtime, work on this bad boy. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it done. So to start off, of course, you gotta take the wheel off. You gotta take this dust cap off. As you see, it's a little dirty, a little greasy. I'm gonna hit it with a wire brush and some brake clean. But I got a pair you can use. These are like kind of self-clamping. You know, they got a spring load into them. But you can use a pair of channel locks, a screwdriver to help kind of pry it off. Pull that off, and then behind it will be, which I'll show you next, is a castle nut, crown nut, whatever, with a cotter pin in it, and then a washer, because there's a little stub axle that this all fits on, and there's a groove in that stub axle, and that washer slides on to that. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, pull this off, and I'll show you what's behind it. So here's what you got. As you can see, the grease pretty kind of broke down, right? So I don't know if maybe I've touched these before or not, because it's still pretty red. If I did, I didn't remember. But you got your cotter pin, that's going to come off. Then you've got this nut here, right, which is a little bit different. Usually it's kind of an actual hex nut. And then you've got the washer behind it, which also has a bearing behind that. So two things: you can be lazy, just kind of tighten it up, although it doesn't seem too loose, right? But I'm going to pull this out and see if I can grease it back up. There's also one on the back side, right? And it comes with a seal. So I'm gonna do shade tree style, right? Because I don't want to take it all apart, then redo the brakes anyways in another couple months. Brakes are working fine, bearings working fine. It's just howling a little bit. So I'm going to grease it back up. I'm going to see how they look first, though. Clean it up, see how they look, if there's any wear on them. If there's any wear, and then I'll replace them. I've got another set of this stuff. Again, storage unit, 30 miles from my house, that I still have not gotten over here. It's only been like 3 years. I mean, who's procrastinating? I'm not, right? So I've got other stuff to put these back together, but simple job. Call me what you want, but I'm going to just tighten this up, put some grease on it, and see how it goes. I'll keep you posted. I'm going to do step by step for you, though. So here's what we got, right? We have the cotter pin, which you saw. So that's the other thing. If you're doing this, make sure you got another cotter pin. I might have one in my drawer. If not, well, hopefully that one holds up. And you got this little cover that it sat through. That comes off. Then you got the nut, right? That comes off. Then you got the washer, like I mentioned. That comes off. And then you got the bearing. I think I've done this before, because it's still got some red hue to it. So I had to have done these at one point, or at least this outer one. And then, oh, there you go. I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna repack that. I have a bearing packer, which again, I'm pretty sure in my toolbox, 30 miles from the house. I'm gonna do it by hand. I'm gonna clean these up, and I've got a little pan with some gasoline in it, right? You can use some brake clean and burn through a can of cleaning this up, but I'm about to drop all these into a little bowl of gasoline, shake it up. It's gonna break this down and clean it up real nice. See? The gasoline, it's good for cleaning all types of stuff. Alright. Just gonna eat these gloves right up. But once I get these cleaned up, I'll go ahead and toss the cap in here too. Right. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you how I do the bearing while I'm greasing it, because it's only me holding this up. But I'll show you the concept before I do it. Right. Boom. Pull these all out. Still got a little bit of grease, that's fine. See, washer with the little lip, because that stub axle's got a groove that helps keep this from spinning, right? It pushes in. So nut, this you do not use an impact or a ratchet. You can use a ratchet, but I'll show you, you tighten it down and then you back it off a quarter of a turn when you reinstall. Then the crown nut, or whatever people want to call this thing, right? Sorry. All right, so you saw how clean this was before I dropped these pieces in, right? Pretty much clear. This is how it looks now, right? Because it's got all that grease, bearing grease and grime and brake dust broken off, because I'm sure there's some dust that got into it. And then I pulled this bad boy off. So there's one spring that's worn out, you know? If I'd have done my research and work on this more, I'd probably know what that spring actually does for me. But here's the tensioner, self-adjusting tensioner for the brake shoes against the drum. These hold together, and this right here is the e-brake. So when I swap to disc brakes, I can't use this same e-brake cable. I've got to use the one that's used for the brake calipers, right, for disc brakes. These are tension springs and little rods that hold these on. Luckily this came off pretty easily. I'll go show you the drum now. The drum looks pretty good. There's no real scoring, marking, lip around here, a little tiny bit, but nothing too bad. This car doesn't get driven daily. You know, in 7 years I may have put 2,000 to 3,000 miles on it, if that, around there. And then here's the inside, right? I can't see because of the sun, but I'm sure you guys can. So in here, I'm gonna wipe it down with a shop rag, pack some grease in there, and then the bearing goes in. Along with that, let's go back over. All right, when I put this back together, I'm gonna load this up, slide it in. I'm gonna put some grease around here and here, so that when it slides in though, it's not getting any, sorry, my head's shadowing, into the drum. Grease that up. All right, my little makeshift photo booth here. I got the fan going, so sorry for the background noise. High temp grease, right? Use bearing grease if you find whatever. And then I'm gonna load the grease up in here in my palm and go around like this, right? Moving it around because it's tapered. So the bigger joint's gonna be in the back. You can put a little bit here by hand, put a little bit, but you're gonna wanna cup it and rotate it around until you get it all the way in, and then kind of take a little bit and line up on the outer edge. But cupping it like this is going to get it to come in through here and squeeze out through the sides, and then you slide it in. All right, so I just did the process that I mentioned. It's a very messy deal. I'm still wearing the same gloves, nice and greasy. You notice on the drum, on the back of this, the bearing was back there. You can see there's a seal. So if I'd thought this out and spent a little bit more money, you know, prior to last minute trying to knock this out, I'd have bought the new seal. Pulled that seal out, pulled that bearing out. But what I did is stuck my finger in and kind of gooped up some grease on that bearing. You know, quick makeshift fix. Bearing is nice and packed. I put a little bit on the half shaft, the stub axle, before I slid it in, filled in the gap, right? And then packed the bearing and slid the bearing in. Now goes the washer, right? And the nut. All right, this is the fun part. Sorry, I had to look and see with. So this part, man, now I just got this glove all messy. All right, you can use a socket, you can use channel locks. All right, you're gonna tighten this down. You know, if you use a socket, then you know you're not gonna round off the edges. But you can see it as it's going down. All right, now that's tight, but now I'm gonna take it and come back quarter of a turn. I don't know if that's good or not. How you think? Sounds like it's rolling better, but then again, it sounds like it's got too much noise. All right, off camera, I pulled it back out, right? It was a mess. As you can see, I'm all greased up. I'm gonna clean all this up, right? But pulled the bearing back out, put a little bit more grease in it just to make sure it's packed up well. Put it all back together, tightened it down, and as you can hear now, right, I backed it off a little bit too much, so that's why I was had too much play in the bearing. It would have destroyed it. So I tightened it back down, just hand tight, not crank it, tight, 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 little snug. Put it all back together, right? Sounds nice and smooth. I'm gonna put the dust cover back on, spray it down with some brake clean, and then this side's done. Little trick, if you are taking the rears out, which you should every time you do this, which, like I said, I'm already shade tree in this bad boy, is you can put this back on. Once you pull this, I still have, this is the driver's side, I still have the bearing in and all that. But you can put this back on. When you get this loose from the backside, leave this on and yank it, hook the bearing on this, and then it'll pull the bearing and the seal out all at one time. You don't have to try to pick from it from the backside. Get it loose and then boop, and this will work as pulling the bearing and the seal out. All right, so took it for a ride. I still got some of that whirling, right? So as you can, based off of that info, it didn't fix the issue. Right now, the driver's side's grease was definitely dark and black, so I don't think that one's ever been done by me. The passenger side, I probably did. It's been so long ago, I don't remember. But the whirling noise over 45 is definitely still there. So this is a band-aid, really. I know that the bearings are packed. I know it's got fresh grease, but evidently those bearings are no good, right? They had some little tiny bit of wear, nothing too crazy that would indicate like a horrible run out on them, but it's still there. So it didn't fix it. So the best thing to do, go ahead, get new seals, buy new bearings, inner and outer, because you got the little one was the inner, was the outer, the ones that I showed you that I re-greased, and then the one on the inside is a bigger one. A larger taper. So get new bearings, get new seals, completely do it, clean out all the grease from the center of the hub of the hub, and repack it all up, put it back in, and then that should fix it. Do I want to do that? The time and the money, you know, probably 60, 70, 80 bucks to do it, because it's like 15 or 17 bucks a bearing, and do it all over again and still have drum brakes? Or do I want to go ahead and spend that time and buy bearings as well for the discs and do the swap on the discs? So I think I'll just wait it out and do that. I only drive this once in a while. I get bored to the store here and there, and then to work once in a while, because as you've seen in other videos, we got the Ford Flex now for the main family mobile, we got the Audi A6, and we've got the Tiguan that the dealership's saying that they probably won't be able to fix the sunroof. Actually, they didn't even really want to take it because it's over 10 years old, but I got an appointment like 2 weeks out. That's how busy they are, right? 2 weeks out to get it in for them to see if they can like just realign it. Hopefully, I just want to get it shut and keep it shut. I'll barely even use the sunroof, so get that shut. If not, that might end up being a video for me as well when it's cooler and I drop the headliner, redo the headliner, and work on that myself. But a little bit of Mark III content for you. Rear wheel bearings have been redone. Still a whirling noise. I don't know, you know, shucks, right? But thanks for checking out the video. Check out the channel, check out the little shorts that I got going on. Watch them like 1,200 times, right? Get me some more clicks. But check out some of the other videos, some maintenance repairs that might help you out, some content. Put out some suggestions, some questions, some comments. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. You know, not everything is 100% correct, but it can get done, right? So let me know. Check it out. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you.